Hey everyone, welcome to the Collateral Nation. Today we're going to teach you how to take your PAD 100 on the road. As you can tell, I'm not going to be doing most of the talking. I'm going to leave that to my partner here, Kevin Thomas Morgan. We're going to get into a conversation about it in just a moment. But first, we have a video from him that I am going to share. Here we go.
It's Kevin Thomas Morgan here. Taking your PAD training on the road is tricky and hard for me to explain. You've learned how to turn your feet into remote blood pumping stations. You had to go through the process of your feet, spreading your toes with yoga toes, which spreads your feet. It spreads the long bones in your feet and helps blood flow. You can also do this in the pool. You don't have to strengthen your feet by picking up a towel, which causes you to flex your toes. And in lifting up the towel, you strengthen your feet and the muscles in your feet. But more importantly, this process improves venous return due to contraction of muscles in your calves, compresses veins in your calves, and improves the return of blood flow back to your heart, clearing way for fresh blood in your feet. Then you have to master shoulder hip counter rotation, and the treadmill is a great place to learn this to eliminate heel striking. You strengthen your core on the treadmill with incline. You replaced your tight shoes and tube socks with big toe box and non-compressive socks or no socks. And then the tricky part begins. You have to learn how to talk gently to the ground, like a pianist working on a piano keys, gentle and soft. If you watch my feet, you'll see they roll in from the side gently. And this eliminates severe impact stress and strain on my feet. So you have to watch carefully how I do that. And it's all dependent on shoulder hip counter rotation. And then, along with all the other exercises in my training plan, the chances are you'll be able to walk a long distance in spite of PAD once you've grown enough collaterals and learned how to move effectively with your whole body and to use your feet as remote blood pumping stations while you walk. And of course, you will find a lot more detail in my training plan, available as an audiobook, an ebook, and a paperback. And that, my friends, is easier said than done. Over and out from Fit Old Dog.
Awesome. So, Kevin, take it from here.
Microphone.
You got to turn on your mic.
I'm usually better if I keep quiet, but anyway, it's available as an ebook, a paperback, and an audiobook. It's a Peripheral Artery Disease training plan that I based on my years of athletics and body movement training. The structure is similar to training for an Ironman. And if you have peripheral artery disease, you have to think like an endurance athlete. I mean, it comes bit by bit. You don't learn it overnight. And so the book is sequential. The first chapter was on grieving and letting go of your old self. Now you have PAD, so you have to let that go. And then get an assessment by a massage therapist, sports massage therapist, or a PT to make sure it's safe for you to continue with this training. I mean, I say that to cover myself, but also that's what I did when I went into full Ironman. I went to a PT. He found I had very weak adductor muscles, the ones that pull your legs together, risking a groin pull. And so I worked on those muscles, and I never had a problem with that, but I could have. Then you got to learn how to listen to your body. Chapter 3 is start your body awareness training. And I have a number of videos on that, but mainly it's a matter of not wearing earbuds, not wearing microphones or headphones or whatever on your head, and listening to your body when you're walking or when you're doing the exercises. Somebody trying to break in? Okay, next is fix your footwear, shoes, and socks. you've got to give your feet room to spread. I use wool socks. So Doug has some socks by the people with the aquarium in Nixa, Missouri, redhead socks. I use Smart Wool right now, but you mustn't wear tube socks because they compress your feet from the side, kind of pull them in, which doesn't allow fresh blood to come into your feet. Also, you need to have a big toe box so your feet can spread, which spreading your feet is an important part of turning your feet into pumps because you're wanting to use your feet to help blood flow through your feet to reduce resistance to flow coming in, to allow blood and tissue fluids to go through, and also return to the heart. So that is the trick of turning your feet into remote blood pumping stations. In order to spread your feet, and most of us have very tight feet because of wearing shoes and socks and being unaware. So use yoga toes. That's chapter 5, and there's a video on my site where Rebecca Amos Lawson, one of my body movement teachers for quite a few years and a co-author on a couple of books, shows you how to use yoga toes. And the idea is it's like stretching a muscle or lengthening a muscle. You don't do it while you're working out. You don't walk around in yoga toes. You use them to gradually enable your feet to spread, so then you can spread them yourself very easily. And it does make a big difference. So there's the yoga toe work. Then you have to flex your toes for better venous return, as in that video. So when you flex your toes or bend them down like that, you're contracting muscles in your calves, which improves venous return because the valves have veins and the muscles contract around the veins and compress them and drive that blood up. And then once the muscle relaxes, a new bunch of blood can come in, and you assist that by pumping that blood from your feet by contracting your feet. Okay. Then you've got to undertake a low impact walking program. Low impact walking is difficult. It's very dependent upon shoulder hip counter rotation. To be honest, before I could get into Ironman training back in my 50s, I actually had 2 knee surgeries due to injury as a result of hill striking. I had no idea how to run. I'd never been a runner. I mean, I had rickets as a kid. I had weak bones and joints and all that stuff. So I never thought of myself as a runner. And then I decided I want to do Ironman races in my 50s because I saw my son do one. It seemed exciting. And so I went out and ran, didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was heel striking. I ended up splitting a meniscus in one knee, inflaming the plica, creating a Baker's cyst. I was screwing up my knee, so I stopped. I stopped and started all over again, like I understand Rachmaninoff did with the piano. He dropped out of the circuit, and then for 3 years, he started right from the very beginning. Even though he was a very well-respected professional, he started again. So I'd done a lot of exercise and training and races, but I didn't know how to run. And so learning how to run with low impact is tricky. I learned this from Jack Heggie's book and from Danny Dreyer's stuff called Chi Running. He also has a book called Chi Walking. I took those two, put them together, and developed a low impact style. And it's very dependent upon shoulder hip counter rotation. So if your right shoulder comes forward, your right hip and leg go back. And this causes your spine to twist, and it's like a spring. And as you twist it, like a mechanism in a watch, it kind of bounces back and forth, and that energy is stored and returned, stored and returned. It actually helps you a great deal when you walk, and even more so when you run. Okay, that covers the introductory section of the book. And if you've done all that, you then move on to intermediate. Maybe you should give yourself a medal. So now you have to learn to flex your whole foot, not just your toes, but your whole foot. There are about 10 muscles in your feet, 2 groups, so I think of 4, that have slightly different functions, but they're in the bottom of your feet. Most people have no idea those muscles are there. And you have to wake those muscles up and strengthen them. And that takes a while. At first, they kind of cramp up and they complain because they're not used to being used. Because what you're going to do, you're going to be constantly pumping, expanding your feet while you're walking. And it's quite tricky. It took me a while to work it out. But once you work it out, it becomes automatic. I don't even think about it now. I mean, I was claudicating after a few hundred yards of walking back in 2014, 2015. Now I never ever think of claudicating while I'm walking. I do when I run. That's because I've, modified the way I move. So learn to flex your whole foot to pump blood out of your foot, and you spread your foot to let fresh blood flow in. Then you go to the PAD 100 exercise I developed based upon Pilates. I did Pilates for a couple of years, and one of the exercises that used to kick my butt, well, kick my core, was the Pilates 100, which is shown in the PAD 100 video on my YouTube channel, Fit Old Dog, and then go to the PAD playlist. There's about 40 videos in there now. They're not quite in the order of the training plan, but you can find what you need very easily. And the PAD 100, I don't know, it's about over 3,000 people now have found that interesting enough to at least glance at. So it appears that is actually helping people. I do it before I get out of bed because it improves balance. Engage your feet, strengthen your feet, and they are one of the 4 systems of balance in your body. It's not just your inner ear. It's sight, inner ear, somatic sense, and your feet, because there's a few hundred receptors in your feet that detect shear, vibration, and stuff like that. And you do that exercise, you don't have to do 100 of them, just do the exercise like it's shown in the video, and you're much more stable when you stand on the ground. You can, in a way, you kind of almost gently grip the ground, and that's an important part of this. Okay, so master the PAD 100 exercise correctly. You're not just flapping your feet around, not at all. You're pumping blood out of your feet, you're letting blood into your feet. Remember, at the same time, you're using shoulder hip counter rotation, you've got a strong core, you're strengthening yourself, you're walking long distances, reasonably long distances every day, because that's the way to grow collaterals. You won't grow them very well on a treadmill. You really need to get out on the tarmac or on fairly flat surface trails. You have to have some impact, because that's what triggers the collateral growth, as far as I know. Okay, number 10, you want to assess progress, because just for encouragement's sake. And I recommend using an O2 sats meter or pulse oximeter. It costs about $30, and you can put them on your toes. The ones I have are tricky to get on my toes. I need to find those ones designed for toes. They do exist, and you can measure the oxygen tension in your toes. And that is actually, it turns out, is more sensitive than the ABI test, the ankle brachial index test. And of course, that makes sense. They're comparing your blood pressure, in your arm and your ankle, whereas the real danger is your toes. That's the real critical area, and that's where things start to go wrong, especially your little toe and the one next to it. So I've told people about this a few times. A number of people came and told me that, yeah, it was kind of low. And one chap, it was like in the 80s, and he went off and saw a vascular surgeon. He didn't realize that, his problem with his feet was because of PAD. Anyway, so a great way to monitor it. Also in that chapter, I explained 6 different ways to monitor your progress, not just the O2 sats meter, blood refill by pushing on your toe, the color of your feet, function, whatever. Okay, that's number 10. And now you have to flex and spread your feet while walking. That's chapter 11, which is the subject for today. So any questions on that so far? Because I'm covering the background you need to get to the point that you can use your feet as remote blood pumping stations while you're walking without causing any kind of damage or impact stress, and to do it safely while using your whole body. And whole body movement, you watch most people, they don't even move their shoulders at all. They swing their arms back and forth. They don't any damn good. You have to use the spring of your spine by twisting it, and it springs back and springs back. So, whole body, and the best way to train yourself for that is the elliptical. What is it, Carl?
Yeah, so I've been working with the counter rotation a lot, because when my back hurts, I tend to just like ridge it up and get my shoulders like I'm hanging from a hanger, and my walk gets pretty crunchy and stiff again. But what I've really noticed that helps me do the counter rotation sort of with the least amount of mental effort is if I think of my left hip, my diagonal from my hip to my shoulder. So my right shoulder and my left hip and my left shoulder and my right hip. When I'm moving, if I think of my right shoulder and my left hip getting closer together across my back, and then on the next step, my left shoulder and my right hip getting closer together. So it has to do with the arm swing also. So like as my right arm is going back, yeah, as my right arm is going back, my left hip is going back. So it's like exactly like you're describing. But when I try to hold it with words in my head and just kind of direct myself, it's like uh, 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 uh. And that's the counter rotation. So anyway, maybe it works for me. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I think you have a mental trick to help you. I saw a guy the other day, a guy I know pretty well, like a pepper dispenser. Those things like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, it's like that. That's true. That's another way to think about it. I mean, this guy, he's a really great guy, actually. Darian, he actually is a professional sand castle builder. He builds these like huge sand things.
Wow.
But anyway, he was having a lot of trouble with one knee. He'd injured his knee, but it wasn't bone on bone. And then I said, well, let me see you walk. I said, maybe you're injuring your knees through heel striking. So I watched him walk. He didn't move his shoulders and hips at all. He just moves his like a tin soldier kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I started to try and show him how to do it. And this is what everybody does when I try to show them how to shoulder hip counter rotation. They move their whole body. They move the whole thing like this, and they're not actually doing themselves any good at all. And it took me multiple attempts to get him to actually move his right shoulder back while his right foot or hip came back. So his right shoulder's forward, his right leg is back. And if you watch children running, I've got that in one of the videos. You watch kids running, they just do it without thinking. And kids also, they tend to use a kind of running where they're really falling and catching themselves, which is really effective running, engages gravity. It's hard for people with PAD because it increases the impact stress if you run like that. But when I was having to run fast, which was rarely, I would do that. I would engage gravity and be almost like falling forward. I think the only time I remember doing it when I ran the Boston Marathon in 2009. I was an infant back then. I think I was 67 or something. Those were the days. Anyway, I remember my coach, he gave me a training plan for the Boston Marathon for the qualifier, because I had to qualify. I was 67 and I had to do a sub 4:15:59. So I had 4 hours and 15 minutes to complete a marathon at the age of 67. So, I was running pretty well, but that was like, that was kind of close to my limit for a 26-mile run. And, it was kind of interesting, the training plan. And this reminds you that the things I talk about come from 25 years of Ironman training, many marathons, water polo as a kid. I used to ski in Switzerland. I've been doing stuff pretty well my whole life. But 25, 26 years of triathlon training, I even coach people. So I've learned all these tricks which have really helped me with PAD. I mean, I'm a very lucky person. And I had some great coaches. Anyway, Chris Hart, when I was trying to qualify for Boston, he said, Kevin, this is what you have to do. He said, first 3 miles, get your legs under you and see how you feel and watch your pulse. Because I had a chest strap. The whole thing was based on pulse. He said, and run the first 3 miles and get your base pulse, which mine was like, I don't know, 120 or something. And he said, then run 5 miles and reduce, increase your pulse by 5. So it went to 125. And then the next 5 miles do the same thing again. So now you're starting to feel, like you're really working, right? But I was very, very fit. So now I'm at 13 miles. And he said, now run the next 2 or 3 miles and watch your pulse. He said, but maintain the same perceived effort. Now I'm moving I'm probably moving at around about a 9-minute pace by then. And because I'll end up, doing like a 750 pace at the very end. Anyway, so I watched my pulse and he said, Kevin, it will drop 5 or 6 beats per minute with the same perceived effort. And he said, once it does that, you've got to pull it back up. And he said, it's extremely difficult to do. He said, that's the hardest part of qualifying for a marathon, for Boston. So he said, over the next, 5 miles, you've just got to pull it back up. And then some like 18, 19 miles, and I only got 6, 7 miles to go. And I said, what do I do then? He said, you just effing run. And that was when the only time I really sprinted at a marathon, because I knew, I just made it. I made it in 4:07:59. So I had minutes to spare for qualifying for Boston. So then I got to run Boston, which is a big party. And what I'm really telling you all this is because there I was listening, watching my pulse, very carefully watching my pulse and using that to determine my run. So that's an example of total body awareness. I wasn't basing it on I wasn't basing it basically on perceived effort, because I was used to running all the damn time. And so, so this body awareness business is really important. So now you watch the little video I made to explain the main points of flexing and spreading your feet while walking. I think about that. So now you're walking along, you've done the PAD100, you know how to do the remote blood pumping station thing, and now you have to be able to land on the ground and contract your foot, but you're not fighting the ground, you're talking to the ground, literally kind of gently gripping the ground, right? Which involves contracting those muscles in your feet. One of my videos shows a pianist playing, which is how it needs to be. You watch how relaxed and beautifully relaxed they are playing that piano. I played for a little while, but I was never very good. I could struggle through one Beethoven sonata. The Beethoven sonatas are wonderful. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And so you have to be able to contract your feet once they're on the ground, and kind of, it's almost like dragging you, pulling you forward along the ground, but it's very gentle. And then as your foot leaves the ground, you spread your foot to let that blood back in. Now you're doing this inside your shoes. You couldn't see me doing it when I was showing you how to walk in that video, but you'll also notice, because of shoulder hip rotation, my foot isn't landing plonk on my heel. It's coming in on the side and rolling onto the ground. And that allows me to do that contraction. And then as I lift it up, then I can spread my foot and do the same again. That is it took me a long time to work that out, but I knew I had to do it because I want to turn my feet into blood pumps that help my heart drive blood around my circulatory system. So you're trying to engage them. Don't expect it to be straightforwardly easy, but first of all, you can think about, well, very gently, when you're contracting your feet, it helps a lot to use your fingers. So if sometimes I forget and I'm walking up a steep hill and I realize I need more effort, and I'll suddenly start pumping harder with my hands. So as I pump with this hand, pump the blood out of my foot with this hand, I time it with the right foot. This is my left hand, it's time my right foot. So you're alternating them, and using your hands to do the same thing will teach your feet how to do it. And first, just try and do it really gently so you get that feeling, It's going to take you a while to learn how to walk with your whole body with low impact stress. You need some impact stress to grow collaterals. Riding a bike's not going to help you, and nor is swimming. You've got to grow those collaterals, but this method teaches you then how to use your collaterals, how to engage them, and how to use the benefit of collaterals. So this is chapter 11 in the intermediate. The objective: to convert the use of your remote blood pumping stations, your feet, into a conditioned reflex for use all the time when walking. I do this all the time, barefoot or not, in the house or along the road. So you no longer have to think about it. They just do the work subconsciously without any mental effort on your part. So you have to turn this into a conditioned reflex. So like driving a car, you don't think about what you're doing with the steering wheel. I mean, you just drive, you're talking to a friend or whatever, right? I remember when I used to cycle long distances, get around about 80, 90 miles, I glanced at my legs and it was like, they were like a machine doing it on their own. I wasn't even thinking about it because I'd ridden a bike so much. So that's the objective. By now, you should be able to spread your toes increasingly well with the yoga toes. Without the aid of yoga toes, you should then be able to spread your feet. You might want to play with what I call toe yoga. As Rebecca taught me that. It's really difficult for me to do, where you lift your big toe and you put your other toes down, or you bring your other toes up and you up and you put your big toe down. Or you try and move individual toes one at a time. I mean, we have the ability, we just lost it. I mean, we lost that ability. I remember seeing a guy in a pub with no arms drinking a beer. He was holding with his foot, and he was having to, really use all of his digits very cleverly. You have to learn how to do it inside your shoes. So when you do the PAD 100, you can look at your feet and see what you're doing. Well, you have to do this in your shoes, and you have to do it on the road. So once you've mastered, you'll be doing this all the time you walk in the house or outside. It's like automatic. It's a thing it's like breathing. To me, it's like breathing. I literally don't really think about it. Okay, why do you have to do it all the time? Because PAD is with you all the damn time. It never goes away. In the night, if I feel my feet getting a little bit, they're sometimes not exactly numb, but a little bit unhappy, I'll do a few of those PAD movements and that feeling goes away. I mean, I have completely blocked right popliteal artery, 100% blocked. No dorsal pulse on my right foot, and it's getting worse on the left because I have a hypertriglyceridemia, which is relentless. Now I'm fighting it with fish oil and a low carb diet and a lot of exercise, which is what's kept me going. And I've had this my whole life. Okay, the videos, one of the videos I really like, but people don't like it, is so the videos on my channel, there's one called Lactate Threshold Metaphor for Peripheral Artery Disease Endurance Training. But if you've never done a lactate threshold test, which I kind of thought everybody had, but that was kind of a stupid thing to think, it's kind of, you have to apply the thinking of a lactate threshold test to your walking with PAD. And the lactate threshold test is designed to tell you how hard to go, how much pain should I have, how much should I push myself. It will help you do that. And so if you look at the lactate threshold graph, when I was training and I had a really good coach, he would send me to a research lab and they would determine my lactate threshold, and that would determine how fast I could go. You go beyond that, and then lactate accumulates in your blood, and before you know it, you can't move at all. So yeah, that's one of them. Okay, you got to convert your habits into conditioned reflexes. So those two videos are the ones referred to in the training plan. Okay, you can practice this barefoot on grass or on sand. I don't recommend you do it on the road. A lot of people injured themselves doing barefoot running on the road. It was because of that book, Born to Run, which is a really wonderful book. It's just that we don't have feet designed to run on tarmac with all those, sharp things around. So do some barefoot walking on grass, and you can watch your feet. One of my videos shows me walking along after I leave the pool, trying to show you what I'm doing. It's very, very hard, without some massive graphics lab or something to build this process. Okay, let me repeat this, I guess. Contracting muscles in your feet as you alternately contract and spread your feet drives blood through your feet. This is what you're trying to do. Flexing your toes improves venous return in your calves. Spreading your toes permits fresh, oxygen-laden blood to flow into your feet, enhancing local blood perfusion.
Hello?
Hello.
Well, plot thickens.
Oh, no.
I can't go around. Yeah.
Looks like a PAD help call. Kevin, can I ask you a question?
If it's okay to talk now? Yeah, I didn't know what Kim was doing.
Yeah, I think she picked up a help call with her microphone on.
Okay.
So part of all this is the health of our calves, very much part of walking and the blood pumping and where our claudication happens. Is there any role for, I haven't heard you mention this, but maybe what's the role of like calisthenics, like heel raises, where you come up on the ball of your foot, raising your body weight, and kind of do it as a muscle strengthening exercise? Is there anything useful about that, or is that kind of working against what we need to do?
Well, the thing is, I'm only at chapter 11 out of 20 chapters. Using what they call heel raises, actually, that actually helps people treat the pain of so-called plantar fasciitis, acute heel pain, which isn't plantar fasciitis at all. It's a nociceptive heel pain. Basically, if you do those heel raises, so you're standing on one foot, right? And you got your foot, maybe it could be on a little platform, a brick or some damn thing. And the other foot is just going along for the ride. And so you stand up on that foot, right? So now you're standing up on that foot, but the other foot, your body comes up with it. You bring your whole, you don't just lift your foot and you're lifting your whole body up. And what that does, it balances your hips, because in order for the other foot to be lifted off the ground, your hips have to stabilize and hold themselves level. And so this is why I think it helps that heel pain, which originates in the hips. But that exercise is very good for strengthening core. And one of my chapters, I think, core work is really important. Let me see. Progress. You have to go. Stretching is another one. That's chapter 11. Initiate strength training. So I do weight training. As part of my training, and I also I use supersets. I don't know if you're familiar with supersets. So what you do is you do an exercise that contracts a muscle, and then you do an exercise that contracts the opposing muscle, and you do it back and forth. You do 10, 12 of these, and then 10 or 12 of those. So you could do a bicep curl, and then you can do a tricep exercise, a tricep extension or something like that. And you do, 10 of these, and then 10 of those, 10 of these, 10 of those, 10 of these, 10 of those. And that's called a superset, because you want to make sure, and it's the same for quads and hamstrings. It's the same for, there are always opposing muscle groups. And when you contract a muscle, the opposing muscle group reflexly relaxes. And that is the underlying principle of the method in stretching from Sweden, active isolated stretching. So what you want to do is, if you're trying to stretch, and the term lengthen is better, because your muscles have receptors. These are spiral receptors in the ends of the fibers, that if the muscle feels it's going to be stretched too much, it will hold it. It will try to protect itself from being torn. So you don't want to trigger that. So you don't want to force the muscle. You have to gently coax it. And so the important thing to remember with stretching is it's a conversation with your body. It's not something you do to your body. And the muscle, my friend, is the boss. And you better be polite to that muscle. And if you're in a bad mood, don't start cussing that muscle, because I promise you it's listening. Your moods affect your ability to move, relax, stretch. All these things are affected by your emotional state. That is just a fact of life. So so-called heel raises, I don't call them that. I used to call them something, single leg calf raises, what I call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, single leg calf raises. And they strengthen your core. A strong core is really important for all of this. Strengthening your core is complicated. I have a method in one of my videos for testing your core strength, where you stand on one leg, raise the other leg up so your knee is sticking out in front, and then pull that knee across in front of you. And you pull that across in front of you, it will lock your pelvis. And so your pelvis is now locked. If you have a weak core, your balance will improve dramatically because now you've locked your pelvis, which is normally the job of the core muscles. And so if you find yourself wobbling around because you lock your pelvis, if you find yourself more stable, if you lock your pelvis, then you need to do core work. Pilates is really good for that. Body movement teachers are great, except, you have to have a lot of money to do this all the time. I used to have a good job and well paid. Now I can't afford that anymore, but that doesn't matter. There's plenty you can do. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I think military press is really important and it's tough, but good form is important, and always protect your lower back. You never want to have induced lower back pain, which is usually due to straining the psoas muscle. Quite often people will go to the doctor for lower back pain, and they don't realize it's actually just simply a strained psoas, and you have to get it to let go. You cannot rely on regular physicians to cure somatic muscle problems. They are not trained to do that. You're best to go to a PT or a sports masseuse. I used to go to have a massage every week because I could afford it. And then the sports masseuse, they would always be, ones trained in sports. One actually, I did massage on the UNC cross country team at the university. And these people know their stuff, and they will find something and go, did you notice that your infraspinatus is kind of weak or kind of tight? And you're like, what? Really? And you suddenly realize you've been doing something in the swim that's like straining your infraspinatus. Oh, really? And then you fix it. Stitch in time saves 9. That is very, very true of body movement training. Just remember, PAD is a professional. It is after you. It's going to take you down if you let it. So think like a professional. Build some professional habits. There's a great book by Stephen Pressfield called Turning Pro. And for him, it's about writing. And I've used it. I read his books. I'm a writer. He said, amateurs have amateur habits. Pros have professional habits. And you have to have professional habits because PAD never goes away. I mean, it never stops. So you got to keep those collaterals, strong and healthy. You got to use your whole body when you move around. You got to have fun and relax if you can. If you like line dancing, which I hate, you could enjoy that. Sorry, Mike. I mean, I have Asperger's. I don't enjoy those kind of things. I mean, I'd rather do calculus or something. Anyway, so we're all different.
Kevin. You've really hurt my feelings now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you are a bit of a, what do they call it? You are a bit of a drama queen.
I'm a drama queen. Yeah, I really am. I will contest to that 100%.
Anyway, so anybody have any questions at all? I mean, I'm fighting this every day. I never stop. I mean, I'm signing up for the White Lake half-Ironman in May next year. I'm up to about 28 miles on the bike. I did a couple of days ago, felt good. The bike ride for that race is 56. I got to get back in the pool. Now, most of my chigger sores, which made me look like I had smallpox, have nearly gone, so I can get in the pool again. Or else people get nervous if people look like they have smallpox in the pool. And, and then I'll slowly try and improve my walk and run. But you got to have a goal. It really helps to have a goal. And different people are different. For me, I sign up for races. That's what I do. I don't care. I do my best. I don't care if I even finish on time. I don't care how fast I go. I just care about doing my best. And on races, I always tell people when I'm coaching people for races, which happens now and then, I say, take the race seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. I think that's really quite important. And you have to play, and you have to turn this into play. I know turning PAD into play sounds like, turning the rack into an adventure game. It's like, it sounds like that, but it's not. You have to be playful about it. If you want to run a marathon, you have to play at running. It's If you want to enjoy mathematics, you better play at it. You know, whatever it is you want to do. Or line dancing, I'm sure, looks very playful. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun as well. It really is. And it's a good workout, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Totally
good.
puts my steps up throughout the day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is a lot of fun.
So whatever works for you. You know, Doug likes building houses. Look at him. Look at him with his jaw set, looking at us. Doug is a great contributor to our PAD effort. I know that. He helps Kim a lot, I believe. I don't know if Kim's still with us or not.
I am. I'm just resting my voice. And plus, you tell me I talk too much all the time anyway. So this is your chance to talk without me.
Another drama queen.
Yep. This is good because I need to rest my voice.
Oh, no, you do. No, talking is terrible for that. I mean, my
Yep.
last.
I was told that you can walk, just not talk.
No, it's really true. Actually, it's horrible. Actually, I had a sore throat when I was halfway through my novel, making the audiobook. I had to stop for like 3 or 4 weeks before my voice was really, you know, unspoilt by that feeling in your throat. Yeah, but when you can't talk at all, I don't know.
Well, it's
Okay.
one thing they tell you that you cannot even, if you have laryngitis, that you shouldn't even mouth anything because even if you're just mouthing it without any air or anything, you're still rubbing your vocal cords together. Your vocal cords, even if you're listening to music, your vocal cords are working if you know the song and you're singing along with it. So you're continuing to cause friction and inflammation. Had no idea.
How are you
Little
handling this?
disappointing.
Don't say
It
anything. Don't say anything because
just,
you mustn't talk, but tell us how you're handling this.
uh,
You can mime. Maybe you can
what
mime it.
I know, right? Why don't we go to Douglas? Let Douglas do some talking.
Hey, Doug, got anything to say? Or are we done?
So let's go back. Let's go back just a second to the lactose stuff. And we hear it a lot, Kevin. Your scale of pain and how does each individual judge their pain level on how far to go? How at what point? Because I'm in a place I can't go get my stuff tested, so I have to trust this up here, my brain, and listening to my body tell me, all right, you are fixing to pull a muscle, or you're fixing to do this. This is too much. Slow down. So can you go back there a little bit and maybe help us understand that a little better, the pain
Sure.
levels and knowing when I'm walking and I start to develop, especially if I'm new in the program. If I'm new in this program, I don't understand any of this at all. But I hear this. So I get out on the road and I start walking and it's hurting. And then do I walk past that where I fall over and land on the concrete? Or you know what I'm saying? So can you go there a little more with that?
Yeah, okay. That lactate threshold video was all about that because you can use a lactate threshold to tell you how much you can push yourself. But in this case, because of PAD, instead of lactate levels in our blood, we have to base our effort on pain, on the pain level. I have a 5 pain score system. I don't believe a 10 score system makes any sense because who can tell the difference between a 7 and an 8? But you can sure as hell tell the difference between a 1 and a 2. So my five pain score system, and I think it's important that you develop one for yourself because you have to set the pain level, which will determine how far you go, how fast you go, how steep a hill you can climb. I mean, and so you have to be able to read your pain. You have to be able to decide and measure that pain. So you have to have some kind of a monitor of your pain level. So my pain score system, which I applied to a a 5K walk on my website. If you go to my website, Inspirational Self-Help Books, and then go to the page, Keep Your Feet, and then scroll down that page, you'll find there are two graphs. And these graphs were made with data from my Garmin, my sports watch. And what I do is I walked, essentially walked, but pushing the pace at the appropriate level for the 5K, which involved also coming up a hill on the way back. And I graphed it out, and you can see my pulse, you can see my cadence, and you can see when and if I stop. So that was based on my own pain scoring system, which is a 0 to 5. I mean, when I was reading pathology slides and there was inflammation, they would want us to score it. How severe is it in the slides? So the statisticians could use those data to determine the significance of effects and run statistics. And it's the same idea with the pain we're using as a monitor of our effort. And so my system was 0 is no pain at all. Imagine I'm walking. A 1 is just a slight awareness of maybe mild discomfort. 2 is distinct discomfort. 3 is mild pain. 4 is pain, but it won't stop me walking. I can keep doing it, but it hurts a lot, but I can keep going. And then if you push harder still, then you get claudication, your calf locks up and you got to stop. And if you look at the graph, that's what I call intensity training. Endurance, I'm at a level 4. So you have to develop a pain scale for yourself, which makes sense to you. For me, it's that 5-level thing. And those graphs actually taught me a lot. Number one, if I push myself from a 4 to a 5, the gain in my distance covered was hardly anything. I mean, at a 4, I don't have to stop, but it hurts all the time. It's constantly painful, but it doesn't stop me from walking, and I haven't got any dysfunction. If you get any dysfunction, then you're entering a level 5. If your feet start slapping the ground and you feel like your biomechanics are off, then you're going too hard, and you're going to have to stop, intermittently stop. And so a 4 level for me allowed me to push myself hard, but not interfere with my biomechanics or my walking function. All the muscles were working fine. I wasn't slapping the ground or bruising my feet. And you can tell when things aren't right. And I did those for 5K, and that's on the graph. And then I did it at a level 5, and I had to stop every 2 or 3 minutes, and that's on the graph. Allow blood to get back, allow my calf muscles to perfuse with blood, and then I could start again. And that's in the graph. I'm stopping like every 3 minutes, I guess, and then starting again, stopping and starting again. And the thing was, and there I'm pushing myself at a level 5 pain. And we don't know which is best for growing collaterals. They probably both play a role. But I think some research needs to be done on that. But if I can do, basically 3 miles at a level 4 pain, I'm doing a pretty damn good workout. But what I noticed was if I stuck to a level 4, I felt I could do another 3 miles, pushed it to a level 5 where I had to keep stopping. It beat the crap out of me. There's no way I had to sit down. I mean, it really, really made me tired. And yet over the 1 hour of walking time, I only made it 5 minutes faster for that extra effort. This is what I have to dial into my training for half-Ironman. So yeah, you have to learn how to read your pain and apply it to your pace. Does that help, Doug?
So Kevin, for those that are newcomers, you can apply this same thing. And then for those of us who have been I've signed up for 2 5Ks coming up. So we can use this for either way. The newcomers can use this just to walk to the mailbox. And those of us that have been in here a while, we can use this for our 5Ks to improve and keep getting better, can't we?
Exactly right. I mean, I always say, everybody has their own marathon. And so if you set some kind of goal, it might be a marathon, or it might be getting to the bathroom unaided. And when I had a heart surgery, one of my first goals was to get out of that bed and walk over to the toilet unaided, which was extremely painful. And it was just as tough as any marathon. That was my goal. So if you're a beginner and you're not used to dealing with this kind of pain, and it can be the mailbox, and then it's the next door neighbor's mailbox, and you gradually increase the distance, and you're always wanting to grow collaterals. The goal is to grow collaterals without hurting yourself, and then to learn how to use those collaterals effectively, which is what I do. Also, by the way, cross training really helps. If you can swim in a pool, that's great. If you can ride a bike, that's great. And you do need to have cardiovascular training. You cannot push your cardiovascular system walking with PAD. You just can't get your heart rate up because it hurts too much. And then your feet don't work properly. So you have to use, for me, I use the pool for distance swimming. I ride the bike. I mean, the other day, I'm back up to 28 miles, which is half of the half-Ironman distance on the bike, which is one of my milestones 7 months out of heart surgery. And I cruised around 28 miles. It was fine. And I could push it up a bit and get my heart rate up a little bit, which I was monitoring as I went along on my watch. So cardio is also part of this, and I don't know which chapter that is in my book.
And Kevin, I think my last part was the whole point about this is getting up and doing something in it, dealing with PAD. After my heart surgery, the second day I was on the side of the bed. I had my feet on the floor, moving them back and forth. It's getting out and doing something. It being active and proactive and it really is being proactive and taking the initiative to get started, isn't it? And we have next month is PAD Awareness Month. We have this great walking challenge coming up, don't we? That I'm looking forward to doing that, and it's being proactive. And how much does that affect you psychologically when you're making these advancements and these improvements? They all play a role together, don't they?
Yeah, and a lot of it is psychological, like you said. I mean, that's why I like to monitor my progress, because it gives positive feedback for the efforts I'm making. I mean, I just happen to be an athlete, which has helped me a lot, but then everybody here needs to become a kind of PAD athlete, and it could be anything. It can literally just be walking across the room at one stage, and then it comes to whatever distance you're aiming for. I personally think it's good to have a goal. I think the last chapter of that PAD training plan is find a local run, like a 3 mile run, and walk at the back. And I show a picture of me, I was came in last in a local 5K with my little dog, and I mainly walked, but I also ran some. So, and people are very friendly at these running races, local running races. A lot of the people are walking at the back, people with kids, with dogs, with push chairs, people that, you can, pull you along and encourage you. Another thing that's important with pain, and this is definitely true of cycling, if you have a conversation, it will distract you from the pain and allow you to go further and farther. It's like that Tim's machine or whatever they call the damn thing. It's a distraction. I know when I was doing serious hill climbs, I don't know, up 6,000 feet up a damn hill, talking to somebody, you get to the top and you didn't realize you'd done it. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, your mind will tend to focus on the discomfort of the climb, and it's not so enjoyable. So why I say go to a local running race is you will meet people at the back. You can talk to them about their kids or grandkids, and some people are really, they're doing it to lose weight, or they're doing it because they have a serious health problem, and their doctors told them, I've met several people in my age group at Ironman races who had cancer, and they were doing Ironman, and they were doing much better than the average patient with leukemia or whatever, because they were sticking to Ironman races. And some of these guys, I was in 70, 80, 70-year age groups, they're literally getting their life back by continuing to train. You don't have to do an Ironman. I mean, Ironman could be getting over to the bathroom on your own. It's just whatever's the goal for you. So yeah, understanding how to use pain to assess your pace, and knowing the difference between intensity, where you have to keep stopping, and endurance, where you can keep going even though it's uncomfortable. Just to remember, you're growing new blood vessels. It's like going to the gym when you lift weights. You can, when I started out of the gym, I could bench press, the 45-pound bar just about, and I got all the way up to like 90-pound dumbbells. And basically this is what you're doing, except the only difference is you can see the differences in your muscle mass. You can't see the difference in your, in your collateral blood vessel mass, but that is what you're doing. Always keep that in mind. Did that help in any way, Doug?
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us on this episode. Not sure what are we going to talk about. Do we have chapter 12 next week, Kevin?
Oh, chapter 12. Chapter 12. Record your progress based on distance.
Awesome. So we'll talk about monitoring and recording your progress. I think that's what everyone wants to hear anyway. So I get asked that question all the time, and I think it'll be a really good one for us to hash out. And everyone can come also with your milestones and how you measure your progress. But meantime, if you're on our YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to pick up Kevin's book, the PAD training manual. Just search on Amazon, Kevin Thomas Morgan, and you'll see all of his great books. And you can also follow him on inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. Actually, thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'll have my voice back.
I missed your dulcet tones, Kim.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I did. I'm no liar. People with Asperger's can't lie. I mean, we're useless at lying. Never send us into the marketing department.
Could I bring something up right at the end?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, regarding the pain scale, I asked the same question of you before. I had the experience, an evaluation of my progress by a vascular surgeon where they would put blood pressure cuff on my calf and pump it up. And what they were doing was, I think, emptying the vessels and then measuring the flow. That taught me what level 5 is. That was at the point where I was screaming. They had to stop. Now, I don't know if that might help people. When you learn what 5 is for sure, then have a better idea how far you can push yourself.
Yeah, level 5 really hurts. I mean, it forces you to stop. And
Yeah.
it might be in your feet, might be in your calves, might be in your hips, but it just forces you to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like, and what did they learn from compressing your calves?
They were measuring the flow all the way to my feet. And, I've been doing this for about 4 months, and they said the improvement was drastic. It was incredible. I had a nearly complete popliteal obstruction on that side. And it was at the point where I was occasionally feeling stuff in my toes at rest, not on my calf at rest. But it has gotten better. And I think your foot exercise, I've seen improvement in doing that. I think that really has improved the flow to my toes.
It definitely did for me. I know it was the one thing I worked on all sorts of things, the degree of impact stress, use of my spine, every part of the business of moving around I worked on. I've been working on this since 2014, so I've been working on this forever. But that one thing about the blood pumping thing, I don't know how the idea came to me. I think it came to me incremental. First, I thought of venous return and flexing my toes. And then I started thinking, what are those muscles doing in my feet? And I found a diagram of the human foot. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not using those buggers. And why don't I wake them up and get them to start pumping some blood for me? And then once I got that worked out, the difference was dramatic. I mean, I can walk miles now with never claudicating as long as I stay in training. So that's good to know, actually.
Yeah.
So,
And I noticed pretty early on that I had less edema in my feet during the day. It's like, my God, my feet look like they used to look all the time. So I think it really has made a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I say use your feet to save your feet. I think that's the name of one of my books. By the way, if anybody uses my training plan and likes it or hates it, writing reviews on Amazon helps a lot. It's it can be a very simple one-line review. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I mean, I think there's a minimum of 20 words or some damn thing, but those reviews do help. That's the only marketing I'm going to do because I'm trying to reach people. I don't expect to make my fortune doing this. I just don't want to make myself bankrupt doing this.
Yeah.
Kim knows about that.
Yep.
Anyway, any
Well,
final
thanks
words,
everyone
Kim?
again. If you want to join us next week, make sure if you want to join our live in studio audience, we have some great people here, Wanda and Lori and Colette and Mike and Mary and Marilyn and James and Carl and Douglas and all of the above. Oh my goodness. Thanks everyone for joining us. You can stick around afterwards and hang out here in our hangout spot. Just make sure email us at info@padhelp.org if you want to join the live studio audience, or else just if you're on YouTube, just go ahead, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and you'll get notified every time we have a great video like this.
And now